So Shannin, I'd like to go over to you next in terms of what should First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities look to achieve right now, not only for autonomy, which I know is very important for you, but to become part of the global economy as well in creating economic self-sufficiency.
Oh, thank you for that question. I think we're still at the very beginning of Indigenous people being included within the economy, and we're seeing the different organizations creating the space, the products and services, and working together, not competing as much for the meager government resources to provide services. They're working together because we need to plan better together. Net zero is a target for 50 years that requires 1 billion tons of critical minerals. And we know that the world has got rich from our natural capital. And communities are in a position right now where they have leverage, where they're not going to let their capital be eroded any longer. So everybody sort of recognizes that, okay, we need to now partner with Indigenous communities. And the sooner that people get that notion around a necessary or required need to partner with communities, while also recognizing that there's a real need to do that because of a need for reconciliation. Recognition that we have excluded Indigenous people all these centuries, and now we need to include them because they deserve an opportunity and an opportunity at prosperity like anybody else. And the only way to do that is by opening up your company. So for corporate Canada, there's a huge opportunity for allyship, for opening up your procurement to Indigenous, to opening a board position for an Indigenous person, to opening up some doors for Indigenous people to begin working in those corporations. That's a huge opportunity. Government, yes, that's low-hanging fruit. They need to do something now, and I think that we have the right people in leadership positions right now where we're going to make something happen. It's going to be done in a good way. And we're going to be reaching out to the community and to founders to make sure that we're doing things in the right way so that the services are the right ones. But bear with us while we go through that process. We're at the very beginning, and founders need to just recognize that there's a huge opportunity there. $1 billion with just the federal government. You've got all the other levels of government. You have corporate. And you have to recognize that the world is a small place. Communities, Indigenous communities globally are connecting faster than at any time before. Before you know it, we're going to be connected to New Zealand, to Australia, to South America, and our communities are going to be very close. And we're going to help everybody along the way advance to a level of where we are at. Because that's really important to the global Indigenous community that's approaching almost 500 million people. So, we're in a good place. The capital in the globe is looking for a place to invest, and our community is the untapped place to identify a market. And we just need to create those connections to ensure that the global capital can reach our community, and in turn, our community will begin to develop and advance. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannin. And I really do agree too with your thoughts on the non-Indigenous communities. Just step in and shop from Indigenous companies, recognize and give a platform for Indigenous leaders. And this isn't just something, there should be those days that you stop and you remember and you reflect on colonization, on issues that have been happening in terms of missing and murdered Indigenous women. But 365 days of the year, we can also be supporting Indigenous businesses. And I think that needs to happen. This is not a stop and reflect only. This is a stop and reflect and then do something from an action standpoint.